from Studio HQ. This is another episode of the Sunder Katz. Why Sunder? Because we're covering something different. And today's episode, we'll be talking about Aftershock Comics, Part Uno. And with me, in terms of being cool cats, I have Reno Noir. Welcome, brother. How are you?
Pretty good. Thank you. And check me out on Sixth Element of Hip Hop.
Damn straight. And where can you find that, my man?
That'd be on YouTube. The channel is called number 6th Element of Hip Hop. And then of course on Instagram it's 6th_element_comics.
Oh yeah. And I am Dodgy in the mix. And we'll be covering Aftershock Comics, like I mentioned before. Relatively new publisher, I've got to say.
Mhm.
They started in 2015.
Yeah.
And they've been shattering expectations ever since. Like a major key player, and there's some really decent books we're going to be covering in today's episode. Have you ever delved into the realm of Aftershock before, Reno?
Well, recently, I think I've gotten into some of their newer stuff. I actually reviewed Bunny Mask and a couple of their books on my channel. So yeah,
Nice.
it's been great. I really dig their stuff.
Yeah, 100%. And this is their creator, Joe Pruitt. He's basically the guy who founded it all. He actually worked on Cable for the Marvel comics, and he also did some work for Caliber Comics as well. Multi-time Harvey and Eisner nominee. So he knows his stuff, man. Like,
yeah, Cable is one of my favorite characters.
yeah, I think everyone from the 90s, he was up there, right? He was like, he's
Cable,
basically like the Arnold Schwarzenegger of comics, like.
Right. Yeah, it's Cable and Wolverine. Yeah.
Exactly. So you couldn't go wrong, and I think that's a great way to carry your brand is by doing some work on one of those two characters, which Joe did. But I gotta say, I'm like pleasantly impressed with the books that Aftershock had created. I had the opportunity to review one of their books, which was Rough Riders, which we'll be covering in today's episode. But that was a lot of fun and a really great book, and definitely a great publisher. And here we see the website. Have you had a look at the website, Reno?
I haven't gotten to get to their website yet.
All good. Just like we saw with other publishers, there's a lot of promo pieces for current books. As you can see here, there's a bunny mask cover right here, so you can actually just jump in and have a look. It's great. Their shopping site is like on my wish list. They've got a CGC graded copy of Rough Riders #1, which I don't know. I just really want because I love that book so much. And I just flipped the page in their site as well, Reno. They've got their submissions. So they're not taking new writers at the moment, but they do have adverts for other roles like penciling, and I believe it was coloring. I can't quite remember. Can't see because it was very, very small print, actually. Yeah, colorist. They're looking for pencilists and colorists at the moment. So definitely worth a check out if you are an aspiring creator. Just jump into their website under the submissions tab and you'll be able to find something. So it's kind of impressive though they're actually looking for a penciler, because I thought a penciler they'd be like lucked out in terms of any roles being available, but no, they've definitely got roles there.
Yeah, it's interesting to for them to sort of be almost like putting out an ad for that, hiring for that job. It's one of those things you think that you kind of would fall into by like knowing the right people, but not something you think you could apply for. But yeah, if you guys are whoever's watching this, man, go check out Aftershock for your pencil position.
Absolutely. Definitely. And yeah, it's great. I just love seeing this because you used to kind of feel like sometimes there aren't roles available, but there is.
Right.
Yeah. And here we see another advert, which is like a nice a banner piece there. So their website is very friendly, very visual. Yeah, so it's really nice to see. Yeah. And I think this is suited for the Halloween market. I'm sure Al would love this. He loves his horror.
Yeah, yeah, and Aftershock is great at horror and that kind of stuff.
Mhm. Yep, and here we see Dreaming Eagles, which is by the legendary Garth Ennis. So it's
Hmm.
good to see we're getting some big names in Aftershock.
Yeah, yeah, Donnie Cates and
Oh yeah,
yeah.
even Ron Mars, he's doing
Mhm.
a run at the moment. So it's good to see, especially he's like a creative I've known since the 1990s, having worked on Green Lantern as well as Ghost Rider, um, and also Silver Surfer, and it's good to see his name out there
Mhm.
again. And yeah, and definitely it's a worth a check out. So check out the website if you're looking for products. Their books are also available on Comixology as well. So if you're looking for something new, do yourself a favor and check out Aftershock. And now we're going to be covering the books that you know that are ones that we've chosen. But don't get me wrong, there are many other books out there. So if you do want to check
Yeah,
out that library, oh man, just
yeah, it was hard to pick four, but yeah.
no, 100%. That actually was very very difficult. A lot of books
Mhm.
I saw, I was like, I'm so sorry.
No.
Yeah, but anyways, they're all on Comixology. They're all at your local comic book store, and the trades you should be able to get from your local bookstores. Okay, so the first book we're going to be covering is Animosity. Reno, what were your thoughts?
Crazy. Aftershock Comics have released quite a few diverse books since their
Mm,
inception, and Animosity is, the next series to kind of shock and awe readers. Written by Marguerite Bennett and art by Raphael Latore. This inaugural issue pulls no punches, is not for the faint of heart. What if animals could talk? What would they say to us? Would they be
mm,
friend or foe? And this is the kind of the central thought behind the series, as one day animals suddenly can speak. And this, of course, can be good or it can be bad. And what we see first is extremely bad. With the good, we meet our protagonist, a young girl named Jessie and her trusty canine Sandor. And the world's going crazy as animals begin to speak and think and plot, but not all. Some, like the dog Sandor, truly love humans and that they are with, and they would do anything to protect them. And this is a huge story, such a huge concept. I'm surprised we haven't seen it happen in the world of comics yet, really.
mm.
Bennett crafts an excellent first issue full of gore, surprise, and wonderful setup for issues to come. And Latore's artwork is fantastic, as the animal kingdom has never looked better. I mean, the rats have never looked more threatening than here. Animosity is definitely one of those books that comes along and steps outside of the norm, and it is boldly different than most of the books on one's shelf today, and it rightfully stands out as one of 2016's best first issues.
Oh
And
yeah.
I haven't gone further, but whether the rest of the series keeps the steam going or I don't know, but this issue so far, it looks like it has the bark to match its bite, so to speak.
Love that, love that. No, but seriously, like I messaged you earlier in the week, Rena. I said to you like I had a look for a minute because it was a very very well laid out, very easy to read.
Very, yeah.
However, I had to go back and reread it because I just couldn't believe what I saw.
Yeah.
It's it's one of those books like imagine if that really happened.
Mhm.
You just have to really think about the way that you treat your pets, the way
Yeah.
you treat animals, because
Animals, period, yeah.
yeah, it could come back and bite you, pardon the pun, but it,
Right.
it was just one of those books. Like I felt emotional when I saw what Sandor was doing because
Yeah.
I'm a avid dog lover, and I
Uh,
would love it if my dog came back and helped me in the same way that
right.
he helped Jesse. But just the scene with the tiger, and even that other
Mhm.
house cat that lived in the building was like, humans come upstairs, like that cat loved humans too.
Right.
So and yeah,
And the
just being
cat
an
that was
animal.
like, he was like, "If you touch her again, I'll scratch your eyes out," talking to the guy that
Yeah,
was, like, I guess, hitting his wife or whatever.
yes, exactly. And
Yeah, it's
goodness gracious me, yeah,
the
there was
things that animals see that you know, we
Yeah.
don't, you know, that they see us do that no one else really ever sees, you know, outside
Oh,
of the house, you know, but
100%.
it's a lot, man.
Yeah,
It was
because
it's deep.
yeah, because us as humans, we kind of overlook what the animals are feeling. We just
Yeah,
almost feel like the animals have no say in what they feel.
yeah.
But even the horse, like, you know,
Yeah.
he wasn't impressed. He was pissed
Nah,
off.
right.
And
He's like, I've
yeah,
had to watch you do a bunch of stuff on your patrol, man, and you know, it's not
yeah,
cool.
like the shit that I saw, like
Yeah,
you deserve a kick in the face, you know, like
yeah.
yeah, it was just one of those books. Like it was almost like a retelling of Planet of the Apes to some degree,
Mhm.
because you know the idea around that story was the fact that humans were cruel towards primates
Mhm. Mhm.
and other animals. So it was like their revenge, and I think animosity has lifted it to another scope. Has sort of that Walking Bad, the Walking Dead feel to it.
Right.
Um, you know, where the
And it
world's gonna
wasn't it wasn't just like that they could talk either. It was almost like it was something about God involved here and like you had to read it again. I had to read it again to see what did I just read? Is that what I think happened just happened?
yeah.
And it was like this the thing about the God consciousness, it was like the polar bear biting into the
Mm,
baby seal and going like, "What have I done?" You know,
yeah.
like that a bear wouldn't think that. It's just a bear eating. But now he's
Yes,
got the
exactly.
consciousness,
Mm,
the deeper understanding of, you know, life and things. So it's not that they could just speak now, but now they're actually conscious in a way that transcends instinct, you know, because you know, most animals they live basically by instinct. They're not really
mm,
thinking how am I making this baby seal feel as I rip its head off? They
yeah.
don't think that. But now in this situation, they are. So
Yeah.
I'm interested to see where this is going.
Mm. Yeah, because I have a feeling that maybe humans are on the delicacy.
Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah,
know, because you know
yeah.
humans have done far worse than what seals and or polar bears do to seals. Like,
Right, right. And yeah,
you
and
know,
what they've done to not just the baby seals, but to the planet, to the
oh yeah,
ecosystem. Yeah, and I say they, I mean we, what we've done to, you know,
mm,
the environment, period. And yeah, I would think that if animals got that consciousness, they'd be pissed. They'd be
yeah,
really pissed.
100%, yeah,
Like, "You
and
guys got all
yeah,
this responsibility, you got all this ability, you can create all this stuff, you can do and you're screwing it away. You're just
mhm,
destroying the planet, and you know, you're just taking it all for granted, and it's terrible." So,
yeah.
yeah,
But I just really appreciate the creativeness here in this book.
definitely.
Um, you know, and here we see the internals of the first page. The Wake was the name of this issue. Um,
Mhm.
just
Yeah,
an amazing story, and you mentioned the art too. Like, oh, it's
mhm.
tremendous.
Yeah, I'll definitely be looking for the next issue just because I wanna know where it's going, what caused it, you know, why are they suddenly conscious, what's it all about? So, yeah, this issue is like a really just like a kind of like a shocking boom, and then now I wanna see what's going on type of thing.
Yeah, you want to see what happens with the rest of this world,
Mhm.
and I think Sandor is probably the one of I guess one of the best protagonists I've seen in a little while. Like, what a hero! Like, seriously,
Right.
him jumping and saving Jesse like he did, like
Yeah.
that was crazy. And I'm
Yeah.
like, man, you know, I love that dog so much. And here we see Sandor, like, yeah,
Yeah.
he's just the best. Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
like go Sandor, man. Like, well,
Right.
what a legend.
Definitely, definitely.
Yeah, great hero, and yeah, a great read. You know, just something that just really shocked me. Um, but
Sure.
in a good way, in a good way. And imagine this became like a TV series or movie. Like, this will pack a lot of punches if it were done the right way.
Yeah, I could see it. Yeah, and yeah, but it have to be done the right way so it didn't come off
100%.
hokey or
Yes,
yeah,
exactly.
but it could
Yeah,
be if it was done right, it'd be amazing
yeah, definitely a must read.
for sure.
And now we move on to the next book, and this is Baby Teeth number one. And look, you mentioned before about big names, and you mentioned the man's name before, Donny Cates. I mean, for what he's done, like I've read his Venom, I've read his Thor run, like so creative, and I just read stuff that I was like, I can't believe I'm reading this. Like this is so original, using old school characters, and here we see him doing his own creator work. I couldn't be pleaser to see this. Baby teeth. From what I'm read in the first issue, I feel like it's not really revealing the whole story because it is only the first issue. But Rita, I'd like to get your thoughts on what you thought of this.
I mean, right away from the cover there, it's like you've got the pregnancy test with the pentagram, and so I'm thinking Damien, the Omen, the Antichrist. And Baby Teeth is off to a hell of a start here. Cates writes characters that feel like actual people you've known all your life, and then
Yeah.
puts them into like horrifying situations that would make any normal person break down. Coupled with Brown's artwork and Englert's colors, this is set to be an incredible series. And if this is how the world ends, is just the beginning. What could be more innocent and pure than a young mother giving birth to her first child? Certainly not the birth of the Antichrist, or so you would think. In Aftershock Comics' new series, Baby Teeth by Donny Cates, we are presented with just this scenario. And while some of it plays out like you might think it would, the reader will be pleasantly surprised by the amount of humanity in the story. And, Donny Cates is brilliant. A few weeks ago, he introduced, well, not, I guess it's been, well, I was introduced to redneck vampires who don't want to be vampires. Now in Baby Teeth, he, along with Gary Brown, made The Birth of the Antichrist, the ultimate evil villain. A very human and loving event. Even though there are ominous signs around the birth, it is still just a girl having a baby. But the book moves at a very fast pace, like the shortening of time between contractions before the story is over and done with all too soon.
Yeah.
And it's all full of moments though that stand out in the reader's mind and then draw them back in to reread it. And the heart of the story is a first-time mom who loves her son no matter what he may grow up to be. And this, it kind of, like I said, reminds me of like the Omen in that way. And this is where the heart of the comic book is as well, because Cates is able to successfully humanize the main character so well. And the reader is going to immediately care for Sadie, who has a sweet, innocent dialogue, whose character could be more borderline, Marion. Heather, her tough sister, is also immediately likable, as is the girl's dad, even though, there's only a few short pages involving them. And, but it's Sadie's innocence, though, that provides an important counterweight to the heaviness of the foreboding evil. Without it, this would just be another birth of the Antichrist story. But we see the results of this in the book, ending of the issue, with a look at Sadie as a more mature young lady, no longer, see the innocent child. She apparently is aware of what he is to become, but we will still, we still see the love she has for him, in Cates' dialogue. And the heavy strokes and darkness of Brown's artwork very appropriately closes around, her foreshadowing the danger to come. And, Gary Brown's style adds so much to the story. Its ruggedness, rough around the edges, sets a mood of danger and sort of frenetic anxiety, and it communicates kind of to the reader that something dreadful is coming. And paired with the heavy, bold lines of like charcoal, that he's, it helps set the oppressive mood of the events of this story. And as previously mentioned here, there are a couple scenes that the book end, that book end with the issue with charcoal shading that drape and, smother the area around Sadie. And,
I saw that too.
Yeah. And there's also a couple of moments when of the intensity of the shading overtake the scene and Sadie. And just as Cates and Brown's story was able to convince the reader of Sadie's innocence, the artwork as well, tends to tone down when dealing with her features. And she's drawn with like a soft face full of love and caring for her son. And Heather and most of the other characters are drawn with sharp edges, that are not friendly at all. And the panels tend to be wide and like cinematic, but but the borders are drawn very ruggedly with like a freehand quality to them. Adds like a jarring feeling, that is being built up in the reader's minds. The use of big bold sound words, boom, type of stuff. But they jump out of the panel at you, interrupting the flow. That your eyes across the panels with a startling smack. And finally, the use of colors to connotate a severe moment is nicely done. Like the reds soak the panel, while well-placed patches of intense greens are used to highlight, the severe moments of pain and shock. And the coloring of the baby is also like a sickly sort of pale green that communicates an unhealthiness, that is in stark contrast to the cute, plump, baby features. The eyes, though, are really what kind of seal the deal, though, as the reader sucked into like the blackness of the eyes. Like you kind of who this kid's gonna be. But overall, Baby Teeth is surprisingly like a unique take on that sort of end of times trope. Intensely illustrated with frenetic artwork. The fact that the story has so much heart, it hooks the reader, and it's going to bring them back for that next issue. And like I said, it's just a different take on that sort of well-known sort of trope. You know what I mean? And I don't know. I really dig it, and I highly recommend it. I think it's greatly written and awesomely drawn.
Yeah, you definitely can't go wrong with the art because like you said, even you see in this image here, we get to see Sadie. She looks kind of cute in this, even though the world around her is a little bit, kind of like a little bit rough around the edges, as you well put it. And I think if you're looking for something original, something very different, this will be the ideal book for you. The one thing about when she's having those contractions in the world around her is like, I love how the art portrays the world shaking. So you've got like the double lines, almost has that 3D feel. When you look at 3D without the 3D glasses, that's how it looks. And I really liked that. I really dug that a lot. And it kind of made it look messier. But when you're reading it, you're like, what's happening here? Like, and you're right about the rumble noise. Like, it just looks like it's hand drawn, just roughly, and it works perfectly. And I love the use of the red. You mentioned that before. The use of the red is absolutely gorgeous, and I mean, maybe this art style wouldn't be for everyone, but I think it can grow on you quicker than what I've seen with other rough artists. So I really, really think this. It's absolutely amazing, and this is like one of the standout books, and it was a very easy book to pick for this show, but it was very hard to choose the other three. You know what I mean? Like, it's a very hard episode to find good books from Aftershock because they're all good.
Right. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, and I've always loved this kind of art style.
Yeah,
same. The heavy black line. Yeah, I always liked it.
Yeah, it's amazing. And now the other book, which was kind of easy to pick, but it had so many choices, is Bunny Mask. This was a hot horror book, and it's very popular. A lot of reprints of this I've seen in the local comic book stores, because I think it is very popular. And we, it's a shame Manny's not here, because then we could give him the cutout mask that he really
there's got a variant with the bunny mask is like got dotted lines like with scissors, like cut out here.
Yeah, you can cut it out. Yeah. I don't know about in the States, but you guys had cereal boxes that had that, like the cutout mask on the back of cereal boxes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we had that too. So there we go.
Yep, that's exactly what it reminds me of. And and like you said, very hot book. Because I do sell comics live on Instagram. I do live claim sales and stuff. So I'm always, I know what comics are hot and what, and when there's so many reprints, and like this comic like flew off the shelves, so to speak. Yeah, I couldn't keep enough of these issues. Bunny Mask 1 was very hot.
Because I think the title as well, it's not one that you would think, like, if you were to say make a movie or even a comic book, a horror book, would you actually put Bunny Mask as the title. I think that's very brave.
And it
And
really reminded me of do you know the movie Donnie Darko?
yes, exactly. Yes, that.
Yeah, that immediately came to mind because
Yeah,
the bunny mask sort of
yeah. But
trope.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But it's just the
Mhm.
name of the title to actually name it Bunny Mask. I thought was quite brave because
Yeah,
I don't think
yeah.
it would actually sell. Like, but kudos to you guys at Aftershock because I think that's amazing, and I'm really proud of you actually jumping in with that title. I mean, you
Def
could have created like a million other names, but definitely check it out. Um,
Mhm.
Before I ask for your input, I really, really dig the art style here in this
Yes.
book. The smaller panels and the way that it's like it almost feels like an EC book in some ways. EC
Mm.
comics are the original horror books that use the really small panels and tell like an in-depth story.
Mhm,
Um,
mhm.
but I really dig this, and it's really one to and great. It's great too because the trade's out, so you can actually pick up the trade if you are really looking to grab the whole story.
Oh,
But
did they? Okay, I didn't know
yeah,
the
oh
trade was
yeah,
out.
yeah.
Oh,
Without a doubt, there's a trade. There's a trade
nice,
for this. So if you want to get the full volume,
nice.
you can do so. Just like Animosity as well, you could also get the trade. But Rena, I'd love to hear your thoughts. What did you think of Bunny Mask?
I've reviewed this before on my channel on Sixth Element, and we loved it, but it's weird, and just to kind of recap it, it's like sealed in a cave before the dawn of man, released by a crazed madman. The character or entity Bunny Mask sort of walks into the world once more, and but for what dark purpose does she use her unnatural powers? And what's her connection with B. Foster, a young girl who was murdered by her father 14 years earlier in the story, in order to save his life and his sanity? And one guy will, have to discover the truth of what waits behind the mask, and writer Paul Tobin, artist Andrea Muti, who did
Mm,
Maniac of New York and Hellblazer, they unleash an eons old legend upon, like an unsuspecting world, one that'll, very kind of horrific nightmare feel kind of vibe, and but what is there, Bunny Mask, it's like you can get it from the cover. Like you kind of know what's going on. Like you see that cover and you
mm,
kind of, okay, this is going to be crazy. A rare instance indeed. The first issue of a new horror series from Aftershock gives you exactly what you want when you're picking up this book. Bunny
yeah.
Mask is the introduction of a new horror character in the veins of icons of the past. The character is rooted in mystery. It's not really explained exactly what's going on at first. There's this deep
Mhm,
lore tied to causes of insanity and strange appearances in these caves. And Paul Tobin does an excellent job in focusing on a character-driven approach while exploring the horror around them. But it really is the shock factor that pulls you in. And there's no getting past the design with like a literal bunny mask that looks both playful and ridiculously scary. And
mhm,
there's an inherent kind of sexual aspect derived from the popularity of the bunny and the adult material, Playboy kind of connotations. And the story makes use of this in a way that you really won't see coming. But I was relieved to see the creative team avoid stereotypical narratives surrounding its use. um,
mhm,
Clearly a subversive approach, toying with your own expectations to find horror in the space between our assumptions, and what we don't know. And that is a good thing. As the first issue wastes very little time delving into territory that can be only, described as like weird, very weird. But and you know what? Weird is exactly what this book needed to be memorable and stand
true.
out in the horror genre without relying on the obvious tropes, and it's just weird enough to kind of hook your interest and keep you wondering what the hell might happen next. While it doesn't lean as much into the horror genre as I personally would like, but
Mhm,
instead choosing the mystery direction to kind of unravel the story slowly, and it's creepy enough to prove worthwhile for fans, even just pulled in by that cover. And the artwork is distinctive, very unique. It works especially well with the introduction of the Bunny Mask character, but the more mundane parts begin to drag on, the story, as so much additional dialogue keeps the visuals more contained. But the design work is interesting even outside of the horror elements, and Andrea Muti clearly has a penchant for character expression because they truly all help to drive the story. Luckily, the pacing behind the mystery unfolding is aided by Taylor Esposito's lettering that carries your eyes right to where they need to be. It's the type of direction that isn't always easy to spot unless it's noticeably missing. But Esposito keeps the pacing as tight as possible, and the story is all the better for it. But Bunny Mask might not be the best introductory horror issue of the year so far, but it is certainly among the most interesting. It is unpredictable, it is engaging and oddly creepy, though it could benefit from leaning a bit more into the horror. It does just enough to make you want to come back for issue 2. But for fans of the genre, this is one you will likely see on your social media timeline often because, like I said, it's very hot. People are talking, got lots of people into it. But it begins a new horror series that is downright weird and sure to have people, into it. But there is a potential for something scary. For now, we settle into a mystery that is unpredictable, to say the least. So we don't know what's going to happen yet from this. We don't know where it's going, what created this entity, what the entity wants, any of that stuff, which is really cool. I kind of dig that sort of aspect, that mystery aspect of not knowing what's up. But they do a great job of making you want to know what's up, and that's good storytelling.
Yeah, it definitely was, a little bit hard to follow in some cases, but that's because they're just not really making it so obvious, like you mentioned. And I think that's very original because, I mean, most writers will jump into the stereotype horror stories, whether it be in a wilderness somewhere in the woods and everyone's having a party, and there's a serial killer that's out there. That will just come hunt them down. Yeah, like we can all do that, but it's actually good to see something original. Yes. And I think the element to the horror is the creepiness. It is very creepy, and I think the art really emphasizes that. Like, the guy's reaction, like, sorry, who are you? And then suddenly something happens to him that's very, very brutal and gruesome, and it's very much out there. But definitely very original, and I like the fact that this book is hot. I do like that. It's great to see an independent publisher actually come out with some original content, and this is well and truly original.
I think it's, I don't know, like just being into selling comics and stuff. I feel like this is kind of, I don't know if it's the year of the indie or these last 2 years of the indie, but this is like the time for indies, man. Like.
Yeah, no,
you never
wrong.
saw them blow up like this. I mean, from
and independent books don't need to necessarily be superhero books as well.
No, not at all. That's what's so great.
It's like all these horror books coming out that are actually hot, even like Stray Dogs as well. Like, is incredibly hot at the moment.
Yeah, Something Is Killing the Children.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and they don't need to have like fancy covers. Just having the text on the page seemed to be enough to make it interesting.
Yeah, and they're getting optioned for shows and movies, and
so
it just wasn't. It wasn't like that. I don't remember like indie comics really, garnering film deals and all of that like they are now. It's just really a great time to be indie.
Yeah, 100%. And this final book is probably my personal favorite. I remember having to review this once for Comic Crusaders, and I just remember just reading this book and absolutely falling in love, because when you look at the front page, you get to see, people that kind of look familiar to me, like especially in particular Teddy Roosevelt. I thought it was him from first glance of the first page, and then when I dived in, I was like, oh, it is him.
Yep, and there's Thomas Edison next to him, and Annie Oakley. American heroes.
Yeah, Jack Johnson was undefeated boxing champion. So this to me was like a non-fictional version, well, fictional in terms of the story, but unfictional characters, like the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, which were a collective of fictional characters from different writers of that era. But
Right.
here we have actual real life people banded together to create a story. And
Yeah.
this story was set in the War of the Pigs, where the US invaded Cuba because they wanted to stop the Spanish annexion. Like basically Spain ruled, North America for up to like 500 years at that point. And
You mean the Bay of Pigs?
Bay of Pigs, I'm sorry. Yeah,
Bay of
Bay of
Pigs was Kennedy. That was like the 60s.
Yeah. No, sorry.
No.
This was a different war. This was the war that where the US invaded Cuba.
Which was also the Bay of Pigs and Kennedy in the 60s, but I'm not sure when. I don't know about this earlier invasion of Cuba that you're
Yeah.
talking about, but I don't know. But the Bay
Yeah,
of
well,
Pigs, they
it was
definitely
actually,
did it in the 60s. I know about that one.
yeah. So this war was to get the Spanish out of North America.
Okay.
That released Cuba, Puerto Rico, as well as the Philippines,
Oh,
which
okay. Right.
the Americans had control over. You know,
Yes.
But yeah, so this was during the time. So obviously these Rough Riders. Rough Riders was the name of the team that Teddy Roosevelt was part of
Yep.
in real life.
Yeah.
But this Rough Riders is a different version, which is like as like a superhero team
Mhm.
with somewhat modern technology. So it's kind of cool. But I really, really dug this story. It's just so much fun. Because I mean, I've been reading a bit of history, and I am a fan of Teddy Roosevelt. Like just the fact that the teddy bear was named after him because he chose not to shoot a bear. Like I just thought that was
Right.
cool. I thought that was
Yeah.
amazing, and
Yeah.
and the fact that he was really into reading, and he used to read like a book a day. He was crazy. I
Wow.
don't think anyone can do that, to be honest. But
Yeah.
he,
No. The movie Night at the Museum. The
Mhm. Oh yes, with Robin Williams. Yeah.
Robin Williams plays her. Yeah. But yeah, he was like a hero, like a hero figure. Became
Yeah.
president. It was a whole. Yeah. He's definitely one of the great American heroes. But for
Mhm.
anyone who likes history, history reimagined or gets kicked out of like historical figures meeting together for the first time, this is a series for you. And I really wish Manny was here on this one because he's a big history buff as well as I am.
Yeah.
And but the first issue has already gotten me addicted. Like
Mhm.
I have we had the trade, but I only was able to read the first issue. But
Mhm.
and I keep thinking, what's going to happen next. And I, without a doubt, recommend this issue to anyone interested, even moderately in the subject matter. But Rough Riders issue 1 is historical fiction kind of at its finest, blending well-known historical events and people with advanced technology and unlikely alliances. We just read a book kind of like this. And the title has a lot of potential as an ongoing series if creators can keep up with their imaginations. Writer Adam Glass takes the idea of Roosevelt's Rough Riders and gives it a wonderfully original facelift.
Mhm.
Patrick O'Leaf's art gives accurate representations of the historical content with comic flair. So, judging by the sick cover art, the team will eventually include Annie Oakley, Thomas Edison, M. Eastman, and there's another book that we've talked about that reminded me of the League of this is a League of Extraordinary Gentlemen again, and the
Mhm.
similarities don't end there. The team dynamic is much the same, right? Like they have the strong man, the
Yeah.
scientist, the fierce female, a disappearing man, and like a
Mhm.
well-rounded ringleader.
Mhm.
Out to complete a mission that would utilize the special skill set of each member. Instead of
Mhm.
using science fiction characters from the turn of the 20th century, Rough Riders uses actual people from the same time period and integrates the story with actual historical context. But the story is well written and has an excellent character building scene for Teddy that makes you respect the man as a leader and an individual. Also, I
Mhm.
preferred the art to that of the league. Due to the realism that it employs. Olif, I don't know how you say his name, Olif, could have been drawn looser could have drawn looser interpretations and gotten the point across fine. But by using photographs and portraits as the template, he pulls the reader into the past, not into a story. Also, there's an element of steampunk in the story, but it's not overplayed. High-tech guns on the cover and the initial rescue scene foreshadow some pretty epic showdowns of old-timey gunslingers using laser blasters, almost, a la like Star Wars. I hope the team is assembled by the end of the next issue because I'm excited to see them in action. I really wish Manny was here to talk this book because he, like myself, is a big history buff, so I know he'd appreciate it too. But, you don't have to be a history buff to enjoy this comic. Even though there's some context, knowing that context would help you with some of the references, but pick it up either way because it is phenomenal. I mean, look, the page you've got up right there, just the art is amazing. The angles, the lighting, the colors, it's just popping.
Yeah, you're right. You definitely have the strong man. You have the you have the wild characters as well. The disappeared man like Houdini, for example. He's sort of sort of being as the problematic character, which is not necessarily the case towards the end. He actually comes in in the height of the battle. But there are characters in there that are troubled and kind of like you saw in Extraordinary Gentleman. People thought Dorian Gray was actually a solid member of the team, and then he found out to be a turncoat. You find that in this book as well. Then you're like, oh, okay, it makes sense.
Right.
You put a character in there that's going to double cross and turn against them, and then you're like surprised as to who it is.
Yeah.
So this character was speaking out the most about Harry Houdini, and then you find out that this person was a troublemaker. That really made it exciting. It has that dysfunctionalness towards the in the team chemistry, as well as trying to fight crime and do everything else. It actually is a fun read. Definitely. Yeah. And there are other trades as well, like right into the storm, which is another trade from this book. It's there's so many other stories. They did hint though of like different versions of the Rough Riders from different periods, like the 1930s, 1920s. One of them included like Charlie Chaplin and other characters. I kind of wish that went to fruition, but who knows? Maybe Adam Glass will like jump out of his big two work and then move back into indie and finish what he worked on here, because I think it'll be amazing. It was such a fun read.
Right. And then because you can't help but think about the Western, the Rough Riders, like like Billy the Kid and all those guys. What was that movie? Was it Young Riders? No, it was
Young Blood.
Young
Young Guns.
Young Guns. Yep. So yeah, it'd be cool to see like a Young Guns sort of version.
Yeah, no, definitely. That would be fun. That would be amazing. Because imagine that, even all the gunslingers from different eras, or from different countries, all teamed up together.
Yeah.
That'll be fun.
Yeah. You being in Australia, what did you think of the movie Quigley Down Under?
I haven't seen it. So.
Okay.
I've heard of it, but I'm like, no, that's like not really one. Like, you imagine you have like Ned Kelly, which is from Australia. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Ned Kelly.
I've heard the name.
He was a dude. He had the tin helmet, and he had the piece with the eyes.
Okay, yeah, I think I know. I know of it. But
Heath Ledger played him in a movie. But you imagine you have him, you have Billy the Kid,
right?
You have like some other character from different, and they're all just team up and to solve a crime. That would be fun.
Yeah.
But definitely not to take away from this title. Rough Riders is original. I was pleasantly surprised reading this, having to review it for the first time, and I was amazed. I was like, damn, like this I actually really enjoyed.
Yeah. No, I loved all four of these comics from Aftershock a lot. And I haven't come across any like Aftershock books that I really hated or didn't like. It's a great publisher. Definitely, look out for them. Look for Aftershock books because they are good.
100%. And the fact is, they take really good care of the product as well. That's why I think, as you mentioned, they don't create terrible books. I think if they make a book that knows not going to sell, they probably wouldn't even bother to look at working on it to begin with. So definitely a good.
Yeah, they're very selective and they make great picks.
Yeah, absolutely. But definitely, us as a Thundercats would definitely want to check out more indie publishers. Please leave a comment and subscribe to Comic Crusaders. Ask us questions. Jump on and give us some feedback if you feel that we other books that deserve to be noted. Yeah, we would absolutely love to have every book mentioned, but
to
fit it in an hour show is very difficult.
Throw your indie suggestions in the comments. Let us know what you want to see.
Yeah, 100%. We'd definitely love to hear from you. All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching the Thundercats. Please click like and subscribe to get more from Comic Crusaders. Hit the notification bell so you can know when the next episode comes out. On behalf of us, Sunder.
Thundercats.
Yo! Woo! Represent.
Thank you. We hope you've enjoyed this Comic Crusaders production. For real-time news on all things pop culture, please feel free to follow us on social media. For articles, original content, merchandise, and more, please go to www.comiccrusaders.shop. Also follow along with all of the websites of the Comic Crusaders family. As always, if you like this content, please click like and subscribe to the Comic Crusaders YouTube channel.